Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well, happy, healthy, staying cool and hydrated as always. I wanted to do this story for quite a while now, but I just kind of never got around to it. It's about the German wild hunt, so pull up a stump for this one, and I guess dim the lights if you want to, and then we can jump into it. Thank you for watching. And from this point forward, I'll be speaking from the point of view of the guy telling the story. The story is from July 2018. I live in a small village on the border of Germany and the Netherlands. I'm testing a new night vision camera for a school project. It was all over the news recently that wolves are turning back to the Netherlands through Germany. So I find this nice tree in the woods near a hill called Tankenberg. I'm looking for that money shot to try and catch the wolves. I install my sweet new camera, hook up the baby to a nice tree. I come back the next day to look at all the pictures of the wolves that I got. But it's nothing but birds and small deer. I just spent €400 to spy on birds. Feels pretty bad, to be honest. I repeat this for a week or two. More birds, deer, some hogs too. I send all the pictures to a friend or my project partner from school for further review. So the next day, I get home from a family dinner at some Spanish restaurant. I turn on my PC and I see 3 emails from my friend. 2 of them are about some rare birds. And the last mail, he urges me to look at the pictures I took a week ago. I open up the folder, and I open the picture and see what appears to be a ghoul from Fallout 4 riding a hog. And I'm thinking, what in the hell did I just get on my camera? I almost teared the skin off my leg as I was scratching them at the moment, and I kind of sit there and lose my stuff for a bit, so I call my friend, and I don't really know what to do. Do I go to the police? No, what are they gonna do? Look for a Dr. Seuss character riding a pig? I don't think so. So the next day, at school, I talk to my friend about the picture. I'm too afraid to show the picture to anyone. They might think I lost my mind or something. I ask him, "Did you show the picture to anyone?" He says, "Yeah, I showed my parents and my uncle. They think it's pretty funny." So I kind of leave it for a bit, but that weekend, I go back home and I show my picture to my mother. She says it's like a weird picture, like the ones on the Discovery Channel. Says that Grandpa used to tell stories about a man riding a hog, and I'm thinking, that's a really specific story, Mom. So the next day, I go to see my grandfather. He pours me a drink as always, and as you guys call it in America, it's gin. So I sit down for a bit and I eventually ask him about a guy riding the hog. At first he is kind of clueless about just what I'm talking about, then he remembers and smiles. He told me about a spirit called Dirk met den Beer, or Dirk with a hog. He says he is the protector of these here woods, and there's something about an old farmer being cursed for shooting a rifle at God on Christmas Eve or something. I don't quite remember. But he goes to a bookshelf to get an older leathery looking book with gold ornaments around it. I don't know how to describe it in English. So he opens this big book and it has a lot of stories about local legends like dwarves, water monsters, and witches and stuff like that. But there's a chapter called Wild Hunt. And in that chapter I found multiple stories about Dirk with the Hog. There's some about a cursed farmer, and one thing about him being a god from back in the pagan times is some real Viking stuff. I say to my grandpa, that's a weird name for a god, Dirk. He smiles. That's not his real name. You can't speak his real name or else it'll bring you really bad luck. I smile back kinda smugly and I say oh, what's his name, Voldemort? And even just seeing the wild hunt is a bad omen, he tells me. My grandma hears my grandpa talking about the spirit, and she comes in the room and looks at us and said, wasn't he called Fro or Frey or something like that? In one fluid motion, my grandpa jumps out of his chair and begins to raise his voice. You don't speak his name. What did I tell you just now? And I'm thinking, I actually didn't know my grandpa was superstitious like this. After he calms down, I showed him a picture that I took of the thing in the woods. He's silent. He even has the spear, he mumbles after a minute. What? I say. I take a closer look and you can almost make out a spear behind the figure. He misses a war horn, said Grandpa. A horn? I said. He turns to the page of the book, and on it had a real nice looking picture of a Germanic looking dude riding a hog, and he's blowing a horn. What does the horn do? I ask. I get some kind of vague answer, something along the lines of it helps him hunt, or it calls prey, or something like that. So fast forward to a couple days later. I'm back home and I do some research on the Dirk or Fro or whatever his name is. It turns out he was like an old Germanic god. Almost every Germanic country has its own name for it. In the Netherlands and Germany, they call him Fro or Frey, and in Scandinavian countries they call him Freyr, the god of fertility. Yeah, the dude indeed looks like a real ladies' man, if you know what I mean. So I'm reading some information on the Tankenberg where I took the pictures. There's a small pagan temple there. A temple for some goddess named Temfana. A temple for human sacrifice, possibly. I go to the temple just for the heck of it. There's not really much to see, it's just a small reconstruction of a temple and a nice view of the forest. I encounter some locals that live near the place. I ask them about Temfana. They proudly tell me about the goddess of the harvest and of nature. I asked the man about Dirk. He told me that every Christmas Eve they round up all their stuff and bring it inside their home, because if you don't have your stuff together at midnight, Dirk will come and wreck your shit. Maybe even you. I ask, are there people who have seen Fro? And the man looks at me extremely insulted. Never say that name, he said. I laughed at him and said, what's he gonna do, steal your broom? The guy said again, never say the name. And he walks off, and I think it's the weirdest interaction I've ever had with someone. So again, fast forward a week, and some dude on the local news says that he's seen a man on a hog, and I'm thinking, that must be it. I try to contact the man to talk to him about it, but there's no response. So the next day I get his address and I ride to his home, but there's nobody there. This looks like a dead end. So I return home, and again, 3 days later, it turns out the guy committed suicide. Shit's getting too real now. That's what you get for looking funny at someone, I guess. I decide to go to the police and show them our main man. The man walks in and gives me the most disgusting cup of coffee I've ever had. They take some more info from me, like the location and the date of the picture was taken, and I return home. But I can't sleep thinking of our boy Fro. At about 4 in the morning, I get a loud knocking on our door. Some people from the government or police, I don't know. They seize all my equipment, my camera, the new camera that I just bought specifically for getting more pictures of the weird creature, my phone and my laptop. And some thick-looking guy with a thin comb-over asked me if I have any more pictures on that hard drive. No. But they take it anyways. It's a shame because I had some nudes on there as well. I know, just the regular stuff, don't worry. Luckily, I backed up all my pictures on my Google Drive. Some time later, I get very shocked. I get some very sad news that my grandpa has passed away. My grandpa said he wasn't doing so well lately. I begin to get a little paranoid and think this is because of the picture. I think the government is hiding something. So I bought some new cameras, and I'm currently hanging in the forest around Tankenberg. Since all this stuff's been happening, I've been really struggling with my studies. My grades have been slipping, and I have a feeling I'll become a dropout soon. I'm obsessively watching my cameras for a single sign of Dirk, just to prove that he is out there. So what do you think about that story? Do you think it was, real? Do you think it was fake? Do you think it's just exaggerated? Do you think that he did indeed find a picture of that guy, whatever his name was, Dirk? And so far the video is only about 9 minutes and some long. So I figured if you just wanted the story, you can click off now. But for those of you who want to stick around for it, I have sometimes I tell experiences of my own. I know my channel's still small, so I can still do that. But it kind of put me in the mind of it since reading the story and all that stuff and thinking about old-timey things, I guess pagan or old Western European folklore and stuff. And I kind of thought of a time when I was a kid. I think I might have been 8 or 9 years old, I think. I used to go for bike rides with my grandfather up through where the old train tracks used to run through before they pulled them up. And my grandfather is fortunately still around. He's just older, I'm older, and we don't really get to, really talk as much as we used to or hang out and stuff. So we used to go for these bike rides in the summertime specifically, and they used to last for like hours. Like we'd be out all day because the train tracks would extend from my village to probably all the way to the cities, I think, if I'm not mistaken anyways. So one night specifically, it was in July, if I remember right. It wasn't very humid out or anything like that, because the heat here isn't like a regular heat. It's very humid, which I know some people in the US will definitely understand about that. So we're coming back at night, and we're about, I want to say, 15 kilometers from my grandfather's house, and we were just walking our bikes and stuff, because we're just taking it easy, and it's coming right on dark. It's like dusk or so, so if it's July, it'd be about 9:30 or so in the evening, and there's this area, so I'll like lay it out for you. So there's a trail that cuts straight through this swampy area, and on one side there's like a small forest with like a couple brooks, and there's a pond, there's like some rocks and everything. But on the other side it's very swampy, very marshy. There's not really anything out there besides the odd tree or shrub or whatever. But underneath of the marsh is definitely like, I think it's like 6 feet of water or something like that. I don't remember, it's been so long now. So we're walking back and we're getting along that part of the trail, and I see this light off in the swamp, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm thinking that it kind of looks like someone's having a campfire, but I'm thinking like there's no land out there. It's all just marsh and it's all swamp. Like why would somebody be out there? How'd they get a campfire going? So me being a kid, I bring this up to my grandfather, and he looks at me, and he's kind of curious as well, and he stops and says, he's like, that's not a campfire. And I'm like, well, what is it? Because it looks like a campfire to me. And he says, we call those wisps. And for a long time I didn't know what those were at all. So he said they were a wisp, and he said that if I see one, to never go out into the swamp where it is, because I probably won't come back. Now, me being a kid, this scared the hell out of me, because I don't want to die in no swamp, especially all the mosquitoes around here. Oh, it'd be terrible. But anyway, so I grow up and find out that wisps are a thing from like Ireland and Scotland and those areas like that also have like a very marshy kind of thing going on. So I don't know, it's weird. It's weird how those things kind of travel along with us, how they're kind of like, they're kind of like a distant memory, but then they still show up every now and then. Not as common as they used to be, no doubt, but yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it? I know some people say they're swamp gas, some people say they're spirits, but I make no judgment about what they are. I'll leave that up to you guys. I just thought it was a thing that from my childhood that this story reminded me of. So if you enjoyed my rambling there and enjoyed the story, maybe consider liking and subscribing. Either way, thank you for watching. I know that not everybody likes it when I say please subscribe, but what I mean is if you want to. I'm not like telling you to. I'm just saying if you would like to subscribe, then please do, because it helps the channel. And if you really like the video, then maybe you'll donate to my Patreon. Again, completely up to you. There's nothing forcing you to. It's completely optional. Anyways, I hope y'all had a good time. Hope y'all have a good night. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.